May is back in court this afternoon. Good afternoon, I'm Pete Souza. In December, Huss was convicted on all charges connected to the shooting that left Agent Scott Bullitt paralyzed. Today, his sentencing hearing was held. For more, we go to our Gia Hill live outside the courthouse. Good afternoon, Gia.
Good afternoon, Pete. This morning, Judge Scott Lehigh sentenced defendant Luke Huss to life without the possibility of probation or parole on all 3 counts. Now, Huss was charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and 2 counts of first-degree murder, and that was against Officer Scott Bullitt and another wildlife officer. And just to take you through the scene, through the hearing this morning, witnesses were called to the stand, and also Jerry Jones got up and made some statements, and he told the judge, he said, "Judge, I don't want to talk about him," as he pointed to the defendant Luke Huss. He said, "I want to talk about the man in the wheelchair." He said that Agent Scott Bullitt lost his livelihood, had no life since he's now confined to a wheelchair. And he says although Luke Huss can move around and will be in a penitentiary, he deserves to have life in prison. And he said that the defendant has no remorse. He said that there was evidence in the defendant's cell stating that the defendant referred to Agent Bullitt as the man in the wheelchair, Mr. Wills. And so after the hearing, Jerry Jones did push Scott Bullitt out of court, and he was very emotional. He said that this case just breaks his heart, and we did speak with the DA and the assistant DA as well as Agent Bullitt, and we'll have that interview for you tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock.
Canada's best newscast, live in high definition. This is KNOE 8 News, your breaking news and weather authority.
Coming up, a former KNOE personality is scheduled to appear in court today in California. We'll have the latest on whether the man known once as Mr. Wonder is headed back to Louisiana to face sexual assault allegations. Plus, a pro baseball star and his father have been arrested in Lincoln Parish. We've got the details on what appears to have been a heated confrontation.
Right now, from your breaking news and weather authority, this is KNOE 8 News at noon.
Luke Huss, the man accused of shooting a wildlife and fisheries agent last May, is back in court this afternoon. Good afternoon, I'm Pete Souza. In December, Huss was convicted on all charges connected to the shooting that left Agent Scott Bullitt paralyzed. Today, his sentencing hearing was held. For more, we go to our Gia Hill live outside the courthouse. Good afternoon, Gia.
Good afternoon, Pete. This morning, Judge Scott Lehigh sentenced defendant Luke Huss to life without the possibility of probation or parole on all 3 counts. Now, Huss was charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and 2 counts of first-degree murder, and that was against Officer Scott Bullitt and another wildlife officer. And just to take you through the scene, through the hearing this morning, witnesses were called to the stand, and also Jerry Jones got up and made some statements, and he told the judge, he said, "Judge, I don't want to talk about him," as he pointed to the defendant Luke Huss. He said, "I want to talk about the man in the wheelchair." He said that Agent Scott Bullitt lost his livelihood, had no life since he's now confined to a wheelchair. And he says although Luke Huss can move around and will be in a penitentiary, he deserves to have life in prison. And he said that the defendant has no remorse. He said that there was evidence in the defendant's cell stating that the defendant referred to Agent Bullitt as the man in the wheelchair, Mr. Wills. And so after the hearing, Jerry Jones did push Scott Bullitt out of court, and he was very emotional. He said that this case just breaks his heart, and we did speak with the DA and the assistant DA as well as Agent Bullitt, and we'll have that interview for you tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock. I'm going to toss it back to you, Pete, live here at the courthouse.
All right, thanks, Gia. Right now, let's go ahead and get a first check on the forecast. Meteorologist Tim Levine is over at the Weather Center with a look outside.
Well, thank you, Pete. Of course, we are keeping an eye not only on the cool days today, but we do have a beautiful weekend on tap after the rain that we saw over the past couple of days. It was quite a bit of rain as well, over an inch of rain before all things were said and done. Today, Doppler 8 Live is all quiet throughout the region, but here's where the next eyes turn. We're going to take a look at the future pattern graphic really fast and show you how the pattern is going to set up over the next 7 days. We have a strong ridge of high pressure that will build in, but then heading into next Tuesday, we have what looks to be a deepening low pressure system that is forecast to move through the area. Now, this system could be rather potent. I'm going to give a full breakdown on what that could mean for us coming up in my full forecast.
New details this afternoon surrounding the arrest of a former KNOE TV personality. The mysterious disappearance of Mr. Wonder some 37 years ago came full circle in California yesterday. And today he's in a California courtroom as we move one step closer to bringing Frank Sellis back to Louisiana. Here he'll be faced extradition charges and criminal charges for sexual assault. Now, a former KNOE employee was shocked to hear the news of his arrest, while police report his pattern of behavior hadn't changed.
My face I went, I cannot even believe it.
As recently as today, we looked at an application that he had been putting out in Bonita, California, where he was arrested, soliciting and asking young boys to come be a part of some camping trips and some swimming excursions and things like that.
The apprehension of Sellis brings to close a 37-year cold case of sexual abuse allegations involving juveniles. Sellis hosted the TV show Mr. Wonder in the late 70s. All right, we go now to Union Parish, where an early morning fire reduced a flower shop to rubble. No one was hurt, but now the shop's workers are left to pick up the pieces. Our Tim Bragg shows us what's left.
In the span of just a couple of hours, the fire quickly destroyed the Dean of Flowers, a flower shop in downtown Farmerville, which many residents say was respected by many and will be missed by many. Tiffany Garner, along with many of the shop's workers, are still in tears at the sight of their once prominent flower shop burnt to cinders.
We always say it's your job is your life, you know, and it's our second family.
No one was hurt in the fire, but Garner says the damage is hard to bear. The Farmerville Fire Department responded to the call this morning around 4 to find 30 and 40-foot flames. Jumping from a business, Fire Chief Billy Jung says served Farmerville for decades.
You know, I hate it for the flower shop owner, good business person, good person himself, and that's a tragedy. I hate he lost it.
Now, the state fire marshal is investigating this fire, but the owner and workers of this flower shop say they just want to grow from this and rebuild. Reporting in Farmerville, Tim Bragg, KNOE 8 News.
This is actually one of 2 fires reported in Farmerville overnight, but Chief Jung says at this point they do not believe the 2 are related. All right, in Morehouse Parish, police are investigating several home and vehicle burglaries that apparently happened earlier this week. Investigators say the suspects took firearms, money, and a deer camera. Now, the burglaries happened near Highway 142 and Wheeler Road. Anyone with information is asked to call Morehouse Parish or Crime Stoppers. All new at noon, a Major League Baseball player from Simsboro was arrested last night, charged with traffic violations and resisting an officer with force. We're talking about Ivan Wilson Jr., who played baseball at Ruston High before being drafted by the New York Mets in 2013. Reports say Wilson was pulled over by Lincoln Parish Sheriff's deputy last night for driving too slow. It happened right by the intersection of Highways 80 and 507. Officials say Wilson's orange Camaro rolled to a stop outside of a trailer home. Then Wilson's father, Ivan Sr., came out of the trailer. At that point, a dispute took place between both Wilsons and sheriff's deputies. The exchange actually moved a sheriff's deputy to unholster his gun. Eventually, Wilson and his father were placed in handcuffs and arrested. Wilson Sr. was charged with resisting an officer. Now, we spoke with a member of the Wilson family just about an hour ago. They vehemently dispute the charges and say they've contacted attorneys. Wilson Jr. played last season in the Mets minor league system. And Monroe police are asking for your help identifying this man. They think he may have been involved in a hit and run at the Walmart on Louisville Ave. He was last seen driving a silver Ford pickup truck. If you know who he is, please call Monroe Police. All right, it's all up to a judge to decide if Monroe City School Board member Darrell Berry can return to work. This all comes after a prior felony on his record came to light. Now, just to give you a bit of a background, the DA filed a petition to court last Wednesday to have Berry removed as a school board member. Now, if Judge Wendell Manning says Berry must go, the school board has 20 days to find his replacement. But right now, school board president Rodney McFarland says they're standing behind Berry.
No comments on Mr. Berry because I do not have the facts. But I do want to go on record that I support Mr. Berry 100%, and I'm going to stand with him in his fight.
This is just one of the many issues the Monroe City School Board has faced in recent weeks. But so far, other school board members are staying quiet on the issue until it is resolved. All right, coming up, find out which actor and ex-governor is selling one of his more expensive cars. You won't be surprised about the price. Plus, meteorologist Tim Levine takes us outside for your full forecast. Coming up next. All right, it doesn't matter if you think of him as the Terminator or California's governor. If you have $351,000 lying around, you can take home Arnold Schwarzenegger's used car. Well, car is kind of understating it. This 1977 truck is made by Mercedes. Now, it's 9 feet tall and weighs 6 tons. Arnold autographed the dashboard before he sold it to the Texas Direct Auto dealership in Houston. No word on how many miles to the gallon it gets, but it only has just about 2,000 miles on the odometer. Now, if you want to buy it, the dealer has it listed on eBay. Oprah is making lots of dough while she loses some weight, and one airline is giving passengers what they want, more leg room. Joe Wagner has all that and more in your Money Watch.
Apple says it made a record $18.4 billion in profit during the last quarter, but sales of its beloved iPhones are slowing down. Apple stock is trading lower. Overall, though, U.S. markets rallied yesterday. The Dow jumped 282 points. The Nasdaq climbed 49. Weight Watchers shares shot up 20% yesterday after Oprah Winfrey said that she lost 26 pounds on the plan. Oprah tweeted a link to a new Weight Watchers commercial saying, "Eat bread, lose weight." Winfrey owns about 6.5 million shares, or about 10% of the company. That means that she made about $12.5 million in one day. ATMs of the future will let you leave your debit card at home. JP Morgan Chase is upgrading all of its ATMs this year to let you withdraw money using your smartphone. The new smart cash machines will also let you cash checks, pay Chase credit card bills, and even pay the mortgage. And finally, one airline is bucking the trend and giving coach passengers more legroom. JetBlue is redesigning the cabins of its Airbus fleet. Seats will be roomier and include free Wi-Fi and larger TV screens. And that is your CBS Money Watch report. For more, follow me on Twitter at Jill Wagner, CBS. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jill Wagner.
All right, Tim is with us here to talk weather. Now, today it's a little colder.
Yes.
But you would call it maybe, it's kind of warm judging by the overall, look at a winter season. But as far as this week is concerned, it's a bit of a dip, but we are looking at warm temps coming up.
Currently, temperature is about 5 to 8 degrees below our seasonal average, at least per forecasted highs today, which would be a forecasted high of 50. But as we head into Mardi Gras, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. At least as we head into the weekend for the parade, it's going to be gorgeous. 70 degrees. How do you guys like that? That's going to be an absolutely beautiful forecast. We'll talk about that in just a second. Of course, our Creed and Creed Tower Cam giving us a great look at some sunshine today, something we've been enjoying. The clouds will clear out and remain clear throughout the day. That'll give us a chance to warm up. But we have colder air filtering in from the north, which is going to kind of mitigate how warm we get today. We're not really going to feel the effects of all this sunshine until the next couple of days when we start getting up into the 60s and then eventually into the very warm weekend on tap. A big storm possible next week. We'll talk about that right after we get through with the current day's weather, which is relatively clear at the moment right now. Satellite, of course, not showing too much in the way of cloud. A lot of cloud in the southern portions of our viewing area, namely south of I-20. And across the eastern portions of the viewing area, so anywhere LaSalle, Catahoula, Concordia Parish, you guys aren't getting in on the sunshine just yet, but you will over time as we see clouds begin to clear out throughout the rest of our day today. So current temperatures remain a little chilly down to the south, but here in Monroe we're already up to 47. Don't expect us to warm up too much more though, even though we've got plenty of sunshine. Again, the wind's very, very cold out of the north, so it's definitely helping to keep that cold air in. Also, a lot of dry air in place, indications of an Arctic air mass, which is sitting over us. This Arctic and polar air mass is very dry. And of course, whenever you get a lot of wind pushing through a lot of dry air, it helps to chill that air very quickly. You get to mix that air out, kind of like a big blender, as it were. So it's keeping things from warming up very fast. And tomorrow we'll see the wind start to die down a little bit, and we'll also see a lot less of a push from the north of at least pushing a lot of that cold air in, so we'll be a lot warmer tomorrow. Futurecast for the rest of our day today, getting up to around 50, maybe 51. But either way, a degree is not really going to be too much of a difference. By the evening time hours, we're starting to clear things out, and we're going to go generally pretty calm overnight tonight with our winds. So temperatures are going to fall like a stone as a result. By 2 a.m. already near the freezing mark, possibly falling below the freezing mark for at least a couple of hours. Water vapor imagery shows at least still a little bit of upper level moisture building into our area, but we do have what is the upper level remnant of this frontal boundary working its way through. Big storm system starting to dive into portions of the Great Lakes. High pressure, of course, behind it sprawling into the Midwest, which is going to keep us very nice over the next couple of days and help to promote the warming. As I showed you the future pattern graphic earlier, let's take you through right to this particular system right here. Here's the storm system we're keeping an eye on. The Storm Prediction Center issuing a day 7 severe risk for this. Now, remember, it's 7 days out. There's still a lot to talk about, but if we were to look at it right now, based on what that is, the greatest potential for severe weather for our viewing area would likely be in the east. Again, it's 7 days out. There are a lot of potential changes that could be made by the time this is in, but it does bear watching. So we are going to keep an eye on it. We're going to monitor it very closely, monitor the evolution. So far, models have displayed considerable consistency, so it looks as though a stormy bet after all of the
It is that time of year. We are counting down to Super Bowl 50. It'll be right here on KNOE on February 7th. Peyton Manning and the Broncos versus Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. But that's not the only matchup. There will be a bunch of ads slugging it out. Chris Conley has more.
From date nights and websites to Bud Lights.
We get the middle of my back?
There is no middle.
Candy bars and fancy cars, plus movie stars with Pikachu and Tyler, too. The ads slated for Super Bowl 50 shape up to be another elite group, and they'd better be, with 30-second spots on the telecast said to be going for as much as $5 million. Major impact is a must-have.
There are very few places advertisers can go to get a lot of people in one shot, and the Super Bowl is it. Last year, the Super Bowl had a record 114 million viewers. That sort of opportunity simply doesn't exist in this day and age.
Aerosmith's Steven Tyler walking this way for Skittles. Website creator Squarespace nabbing comic duo Key and Peele.
Starring the incomparable Liam Neeson.
And yes, Liam Neeson himself representing for LG Electronics. Soccer great Abby Wambach sings the Mini Cooper's praises, while Christopher Walken weighs in for Kia. Amy Schumer and Seth Rogen are beer bottle buddies, and comic actor TJ Miller will have his modesty on tap.
It's going to be the greatest Super Bowl commercial of all time. Do you understand?
While 3 different Shot by Amateurs clips are competing for Doritos' 30-second slot. All of these mini epics eager to get your attention the way Budweiser's Lost Puppy did at Super Bowl 49 last year. So, don't go away.
$1 million, you can get a 30-second Super Bowl ad. If you got a little more time, you can come back and get the weather forecast. Stay with us.